Yama, I'm Jack. Let's check out what's coming up in the show. A mission to the International Space Station blasts off. Lewis Hamilton makes history. And the best-worst statue we've ever seen. And to make sure you don't miss any more best-worst or worst-best, hit that subscribe button, because we've got plenty coming. South Australia has just recorded its worst COVID cluster ever. It comes just as things have started getting back to normal for the rest of the country. So what does this outbreak mean for Australia?
For the last month or so, things have seemed like they're getting back to normal. Case numbers have dropped, crowd numbers have increased, and South Australia even had a Christmas pageant. Then this happened.
So unfortunately, I have some very troubling news for people in South Australia. We have some new cases.
Health officials reckon the virus came from a worker at a hotel where arriving travellers have been quarantining. Within 24 hours, 17 new cases have popped up in South Australia's worst ever COVID cluster. A bunch of states have now declared SA a COVID-19 hotspot and are telling travellers to self-isolate. While here in SA, a couple of schools, a restaurant and a shopping centre have all shut down. This testing station's been empty for the last couple of months, but today, some of these cars have been waiting 5 hours just to get tested. After 7 months without any cases of community transmission in South Australia, health officials say this is a wake-up call. But they do say they're pretty confident South Australia can get on top of things quick smart, while experts say this is a great reminder of how quickly things can change and how important it is to keep doing all of this.
4 astronauts have blasted off to the International Space Station in a SpaceX rocket. It's the first mission to send a crew into orbit aboard a privately owned craft, the newly designed Crew Dragon capsule called Resilience. The journey to the ISS will take about 27 hours. Qantas is celebrating its 100th birthday. The airline began on this day back in 1920 in Western Queensland as a way to link outback towns. Now, Qantas flies around 50 million people every year, although not this year for obvious reasons. It's time to find out what's been happening in sport. Here's Leela.
The conditions were wet and slippery, but that wasn't going to stop superstar Lewis Hamilton winning the Turkish Grand Prix.
Thank you so much, guys.
Which was, get this, his 94th career win and his 7th Formula One championship title. Michael Schumacher is the only other person in history to do it that many times. Hamilton is now the most successful driver ever. He'd already won more races, pole positions and podium finishes than anyone else.
Don't listen to anybody that tells you you can't achieve something extremely impossible, and speak it into existence, and you've got to work for it, you've got to chase it, and you've got to never give up.
I'm not crying, you're crying. Yep, nothing better than getting a new matching jacket with your mate.
I mean, yeah, obviously having Tiger put it on was awesome and unbelievable.
Okay, that's not really why Dustin Johnson's new green jacket is a big deal. Famously, you get the jacket if you win the Masters, and he won with a record score of 20 under par.
Since I played my first Masters, it's been, the tournament I wanted to win the most.
Okay, now I am crying.
These next stories are proof that no matter what the price tag is, you get what you pay for. Ah, make it stop. Is that a potato? These are just some of the ways residents from Palencia in Spain have responded to a restoration project that, well, didn't exactly work out. This statue of a smiling woman surrounded by a flock of sheep now looks more like something I once made in a pottery class. How much would you pay for a pigeon? Probably not that much. Well, what if I told you that the pigeon in question holds the title of Best Young Bird in Belgium? Yep, New Kim here is a racing pigeon, the best apparently, and with that title comes a very expensive price tag. She sold at auction for $2.6 million, which, believe it or not, is the most anyone's ever paid for a pigeon. And what's the saying? If the shoe fits, then pay $71,000 for it. Well, that's how much this shoe sold at auction for anyway. To be fair, it once belonged to Marie Antoinette, the last Queen of France, and it's in pretty good nick, but personally I think that's a lot of money to pay for just one shoe. Speaking of which, shoe! The show's over! Go!